Kate Masukan. Ungatik Maya.
Yeah, what he said. Does that translate to Welcome to Shallow Cinema's Spotlight episode on Avatar?
It does not. It says, hello, brother. I see you. I see you, Blackjack Bauer.
And I see you, Nemo. Despite the water sound effect, this is not our Avatar Way of Water review. It is, in fact, our Gene Roddenberry's Avatar #1 review.
Avatar 2009. We're not talking Airbender. We're talking Jake Sully.
I do want to ask just before we get into all of this. Since the sequels are also supposed to be Elements, what do you think the Air one's going to be titled? Considering it already stole Avatar from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You think they're all just going to be the way of water, the way of fire?
It would be kind of cool if it's just like a windbreaker.
But that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we are reflecting back on the biggest movie ever made.
Jameson Cameron's Avatar 2009.
Avatar.
Scown. That means moron.
Before we dive into this is going to be one of our special episodes of Spotlight.
I really wanted to do this one because Way of Water will be coming out.
One of us really liked or likes this movie.
Spoiler, it's me.
One of us adamantly did not like this movie and had only seen it once. Now has seen it 2.5 times.
There you go.
Do I like it now? Stay tuned. Let's find out.
To get into this one.
And it's 14 pages of notes.
Hey, it's 15 now. Get it right.
Director's cut.
The director's cut. Speaking of the director's cut, we did try to watch the director's cut. I own it, but I moved, so it's in a box, so I can't find it.
And it turns out it is not available digitally to buy.
You can't rent it. You can't anything. You can't even buy it to stream, which I thought was pretty wild. But I did look up a quote from James Cameron to see because it's only 16 minutes extra footage, and he said that the theatrical version is his director's vision, where the extended is filled with bonus features, but also it world builds a bit more. So it deepens the story, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, the only thing I remember from the extended version...
You'll see what I think about that as we dig into this more.
The only thing that I know is it has more scenes on Earth, and just at the beginning of the movie. So you get to see Jake Sully getting bullied for being a worthless cripple, and he gets thrown into an alley, and you see some ads in the sky, some real Blade Runner type of stuff. Yeah,
very cyberpunky Earth.
Yeah, and he's just fuck this shit. I'm gonna go space. But yeah, that's pretty much all that there is. But it is streaming on Disney+.
Matches my dead brother's kitty cat body mecha.
Hey, you couldn't ask for a better lottery than that, I guess.
Do you think this inspired Attack on Titan?
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't know if Tekken is the manga already out by then. Maybe they're starting. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Who cares?
Just the fact that it's an organic, basically mecha suit made me think about that.
That is, essentially what it is. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I have something to say about that. Let's hold on to that. So,
will this podcast be all over the place? Who knows? Will it be as long as the movie? No, because I can't possibly.
This is the #1 grossing movie of all time, so chances are you have seen it.
I think everyone has probably at least seen this once.
But if you don't know, the TLDR of this movie is that there is a lush alien planet called Pandora, and we have our main character, our main hero, I would like to say, Jake Sully. He's going up into space. He's braving the new frontier, and he's going to find out what this planet's all about in a new body because he is crippled. His legs do not work. But this blue cat thing, it's really tall and it's got big legs. Sounds fun. Yeah. Zoe Saldana in her breakout role.
Yeah, technically. And people really overlook her true star-making turn in Britney Spears' Crossroads.
You know what? Maybe that was how she got this. James Cameron's a big fan of Britney Spears.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We mentioned it, but I love the fact that Zoe Saldana is in the 2 biggest movies ever made.
And she's in 3.
is a big character in all of them, but they're also both movies in which she doesn't look like her at all.
Not at all.
Gamora does look like her, but she's green.
And
to be honest, when I saw Zoe Saldana as an actress, I'm like, oh, it's right. You're not green.
You're not actually green at all. So yeah, he goes to the planet, and The military is trying to mine it of its precious ore.
So I want to bring it up. Actually, technically there are three factions of the humans. There's the military, there's the business,
and
there's the scientists, who all are working together. It is unclear, technically, really, how what the company is. Before we dive into anything, I'm going to point out unobtainium is a dumb fucking name. And beyond that, though, the movie never bothers to explain what the fuck unobtainium does. It's simply that it's worth a lot of money.
You are so wrong.
Now, I did do some research and find out that someone's like, in the deep lore, it turns out the dying Earth, this is something they could use that could save the Earth. But the movie doesn't do that.
You are so wrong.
At least the theatrical version. Giovanni Ribisi is just like, it's worth a lot of money.
Sam Worthington has a lot of work to do to bring the clans together to stop.
I thought you meant as an actor and like being charismatic or like an on-screen presence.
Let's get into the world of Pandora.
It's made $2.9 billion. Budget of $237 million.
That is,
or possibly adjusted,
such a small budget for how much money it's made over all these years. And I actually wanted to point out it was the #1 movie of all time. And then Endgame finally beat it. James Cameron wrote a congratulations letter to it and everything.
And he said I see you.
He said, I see you. He had Iron Man dead inside of his shell, covered in all these little Na'vi leaves.
And they're the wisps, the
little wisps, the will-o'-the-wisp,
the Ewa with
Ewa.
The Ewa's wisp that say like he's important.
They're seeds. He said congratulations, but then he decided to re-release the movie in 2022 and just took it back.
Just to point out, his other movie, which before was the biggest movie of all time, Titanic, had a budget of $200 million. If I cared enough to do the research on it, I know that it went over its budget. That was one of the other big movies that did that, and luckily, unlike Waterworld, it made back its budget and was huge. But
leave Kevin Sorbo alone. Is he in that?
What, Titanic?
No, Waterworld. I forgot he was in that.
Kevin Costner.
My bad, wrong Kevin. Hey, Kevin, right in.
Kevin Sorbo's only theatrical movie that I know of is a movie called Krull the Conqueror.
Are you sure that it's not?
Oh, I mean, he's in God's Not Dead.
Oh, hey.
He gets hit. He's dead. Kevin's very dead.
Oh, no.
He gets hit by a car outside of a Newsboys concert.
Kevin's not dead.
Don't ask why I know all this information, but God's not dead.
So even with that huge budget, it did manage to do the impossible of being one of the biggest movies, the biggest movie of all time, that most people can't tell you the plot of anymore for some reason.
And it held that record for over a decade.
So I want to point out that I was still a child when this movie came out. I was hitting puberty.
I was a full-grown adult.
And you know what? I love this movie. I loved it with all my heart. I was obsessed. I wish I could go to Pandora.
So, and I won't delve into this because I know you have a lot of notes. You have a lot of things to say. But on that note, though, I think that one question that I would ask, and we can discuss later on, is not the plot of this movie, but what is this movie about? Because it's not about the Na'vi people. It's not about unobtainium.
It's about family.
I would argue what it's really about is Pandora. It's really an excuse. Like, the plot is paper thin. It's just an excuse to get to Pandora and explore.
You know what? We don't have to wait for the notes for this. I agree completely.
And my criticism would also be, it's also technically about the power fantasy of Jake Sully.
That too.
Because even when shit starts going down and the Na'vi get attacked or whatever, you listen to what he's saying. He's like, I fell in love. And I love, it's all I statement.
I will say, because, I love this movie. I watched it a shit ton when it came out. I think once I actually hit high school, I stopped caring.
One of the things
I didn't realize that he really does narrate the entire fucking movie,
which I also hate. But
I didn't like that, actually.
And they didn't have to do the narration thing, because once he starts doing video logs, like, you could have just done it this way.
You should have done it that way.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could have just done it as him retelling the story through the video log. But anyway, I will also give the movie this credit: the design of the world of Pandora, and by that I mean the flora, the fauna, all of the life. I feel like I remember there was some sort of like book that James Cameron even put out.
Yeah, it was pretty soon after the movie came out.
Because I don't think he spent time on the script. Because in rewatching this too, like, the plot is paper thin. The lines are cheesy as fuck. The villains are cartoons, literally cartoons. Can you explain to me why Giovanni Ribisi wants the unobtainium other than money?
Can't. He says that's a lot of cheddar.
Look at that. I think James Cameron loved building this world.
He did.
And I think he loved Pandora. And even people who did like this movie at the time, a note is, how many people talk about this movie now?
How many people talk about the actual story, especially, but everyone remembers Pandora, though.
And even you, because I asked, like, I knew that you owned it. I was like, when was the last time you watched it? And you're like,
I don't, if I have watched it, it's been on the TV, and I just didn't turn it off, so it would have been background noise.
So it's a very interesting movie in that it was a culturally significant blockbuster, one because of the 3D.
Yeah, it was the first real 3D movie.
Now, wasn't the one that invented it or brought it to modern age.
Not real 3D TM.
There was a kids movie, Monsters vs. Aliens, that had 3D.
And then there was a bunch of like rides like the SpongeBob at Kings Island.
But even the Robert Zemeckis movie, the Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, that was in 3D.
Fuck that movie.
But again, the credit part of what he did is he made a whole new camera for the 3D. But also, Avatar was the first one that instead of throwing stuff at the screen at you, using the negative space.
It used layers.
What the other movies were doing were feeding the negative space of having something come out of the screen.
Like Spy Kids 3D.
Yeah, that was the other one. And that was before Avatar.
Yes, it was.
He was giving depth to the frame, which is kind of what he birthed. Like, then you started having, that's what the 3D movies were doing.
That's the type of 3D that I like.
And that was my defense of 3D too, is like, yes, it is a gimmick. Yes, not all these movies that are doing it now, right after Avatar, need it or should even have it.
Absolutely not. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy in 3D, and there was no reason for that movie to be in 3D.
But there is even because I own Guardians in 3D. I don't need to watch it in 3D, but if I want to, I can because I do that 3D TV stuff. But that one is a fun one too, where again, it's not stuff flying at the screen. It is, the frame has depth. There are two movies that I say that should have it. One is Carl Urban's Dread, because it did some really fun stuff with it.
It did. I have seen that one in 3D.
And the other one is Tron Legacy.
I did not see that one in 3D.
I wasn't a big Tron fan. That movie
same year, right? Yeah, 2009.
No. Tron Legacy was like 2011.
Okay.
And it also was using the positive space, but it did a cool thing. When the movie starts, we're in the real world for the first 20 minutes. It is flat. It is not in 3D. When he goes into the computer world, then the 3D kicks in. It's like, that's how you use 3D.
So I didn't actually see Avatar in 3D.
Ever?
And I did eventually.
Okay.
But I didn't see it in theaters. It was 3D. The first 3D movie I saw in 3D, though, you're gonna really think this is funny.
Spy Kids 4D?
No, I didn't get to fucking watch Spy Kids 3D as a kid. My mom wouldn't let me go. I really want to watch it.
That movie will rot your brain.
It was Clash of the Titans.
With Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington.
And that's funny you bring it up, because that's a movie that was not filmed for 3D, and they post-converted it because 3D became a big thing.
It did have a cool effect that I don't remember anything of the movie, but I remember Hades had all these fire particles around him, and they were really, really well done in 3D effect, and I actually liked it a lot.
So that is the main praise I'm going to give this movie.
There you go.
Is the 3D was great.
It does have a legacy.
The world of Pandora is incredibly well thought out, and it's something else that I'd seen, because there is Disney, once they owned it, they did build the world of Pandora at the park. And I guess it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But this seems to me like, I don't think James Cameron wanted to make a movie. I think he just wanted to make a new world. Actually, my thought writing over here, tonight was, this is a better video game than if you took this entire story, paper thin as it is, but made us the protagonist, because a video game is a power fantasy. That's what it is supposed to be for the player. That works. That makes more sense. You should have made the coolest fucking video game we had ever seen. This instead of, because you're a filmmaker, you made a movie.
All the ideas that they have with this could have rivaled World of Warcraft if they made an MMO. You already have two factions, humans versus aliens. It already works as a player base. This is the perfect idea for an MMO.
And strangely, the video game that did come from it, I don't think it was total garbage, but it's not good. And
most movie tie-in games kind of suck anyway.
Well, he was involved with it.
It kind of, from what I've heard,
and I believe they're
very
making
similar to the Peter Jackson King Kong game, which is fun.
That's a good analogy to it. They were better than a typical IP game, but they weren't
still flawed.
Great. The King Kong one, I think, honestly makes better use of the IP that it has, which is weird. Where Avatar is
better.
its own IP that's entirely new, like do whatever.
Yeah, I think they're just rushing to make a game to come out and all that stuff.
I can't remember the King Kong as far as if it made it by the theatrical release. Avatar, I believe, did not. The Avatar game, I think, came out like a year later.
It took a minute.
So I'm sure it's still rushed, but they didn't just rush it out the door.
True.
I think they're making a new Avatar game now.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's a mobile game.
I'm sure it's a battle royale. Which, fuck it. That makes sense too.
Yeah, whatever. Honestly, the last Jake standing.
I mean, he had a twin brother, though.
Getting into the movie itself, this is what's happening. I'm talking to you through a voiceover. I'm going to this new planet. My brother died. He was a really smart scientist, and I was nothing but a Marine, and I got my leg blown off in a war. It didn't get blown off. He broke his spine.
It just dawned on me. He's like, I kind of want to see the movie of, like, what was the war you were fighting?
Yeah, I want to know the war. He's going to space. Find out right from the beginning. It takes 6 years to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And sleeping for 6 years feels like nothing. You see his brother being burnt into...
In a cardboard box.
In a cardboard box.
I guess the future... Well, what little we see of Earth is clear. Like, it's overcrowded.
It's fucked.
It's polluted.
It's completely fucked.
Which is also kind of weird of, like... So they just want the unobtainium from Pandora. Like, why wouldn't you want to just take over Pandora? Like, why wouldn't you just want to... Colonialism.
When we start getting all this information, the one thing that I do hate is that it does use the papyrus font.
Which they changed for the sequel. I'll give them that.
Good.
But yes, I think there's even an SNL sketch.
I think there is.
About the papyrus font. And I think it is literally making fun of Avatar.
Because I hate the papyrus font. You should never have used that. It's really weird. It's weird that you made the logo of your movie papyrus. Good job on the new logo. It looks way better.
Do you want him to pull a George Lucas and go back to Avatar 1 and, like, re-edit this?
Re-edit this, please. Which I did watch this on Disney Plus. They did not edit anything out, which I was very, very surprised by.
That's also where I ended up watching it.
We're getting into it and stuff. He's getting to the planet and all that. You see a really low-hanging fruit joke where they're like, look at all this fresh meat. And he's like, look at this, guys. Meals on Wheels.
And I was going to say, and then immediately also starts with our not even one-dimensional cartoon villainous people. It's like, all right, I guess this is where... Like, Stephen King bullies are written better than this.
I will give you that. Those guys are nothing but like, oh, you're cannon fodder for the last half of the movie.
To make it so that from the get-go, you're on board with, like, whatever happens to you, I'm okay with it.
So you get Stephen Lang's character coming in, the Colonel. He's giving a speech, which...
Papa Dragon. Call him by his proper call sign, Nemo.
That is my favorite line of the movie. People always say they can't remember anything. But
this is Papa Dragon. I want this operation high and tight. I'm going to be home by dinner.
Home by dinner. If there is a hell, you might want to go there for some R&R after a tour on Pandora.
Which also, again, begins not just cheesy dialogue, but delivered. All the human dialogue is pretty rough. The Na'vi stuff, in a way, it reminds me of Warcraft, where every time we went back to the orcs, I'm like, this is a much better movie. I'd rather just hang out with the orcs. And for some reason, these orcs are acting much better than human beings.
Literally, yes. But this might be one of the reasons I actually like Avatar. I've met Stephen Lang.
Oh, dude, when I first saw this movie and didn't like it, I still liked Stephen Lang to the point where that is the reason that I watched the TV show Terra Nova. That is the reason that I tuned into Terra Nova. Was like, Stephen Lang guy's in this.
That's not the reason I watched it.
Right. This isn't that podcast. But
yeah, he actually did come and do like a speech about like fitness or something like that at the local college that was in my hometown.
I've kind of forgotten until rewatching this too. Like even in this movie, he's like, dude is ripped.
Oh yeah. He was like, it was like CrossFit stuff, and he did a little like meet and greet at the end. It was really cool.
And I do love Josh Brolin, but when Stephen Lang was petitioning for the role of Cable, I was like, yeah.
Even you saying that now, I'd say yeah. I would rather have him as Cable. Josh Brolin's fine, but no. Stephen Lang has more charisma as that type of a stupid villain. Is Stephen Lang the voice of the Colonel in Small Soldier?
No.
Because he looks like him. So, with the very beginning, when you get him doing his little speech, the window is an American flag. It has like a big air conditioner in the corner that makes the square. So they're really not hiding the imperialism look here. I don't know if I just never noticed it because I used to watch it on a really small screen when I was younger, but it's just straight up an American flag. It's not clever, but it is clever at the same time. You know that James Cameron is like, oh, this is so smart.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones is the voice of him?
Yep.
Well, he
Colonel
looks like
Chip Hazard.
He looks like Colonel Chip Hazard.
Yes, when they do the
IRL.
inevitable live action reboot of Small Soldiers.
I'd watch that.
Stephen Lang should just get the role. On this rewatch as well, I don't feel like the special effects, a lot of them, I don't feel like they hold up.
So, there is a lot that really do hold up, but you can tell it's the scenes where James Cameron himself is just like, this is the money shot of the movie. Spend everything on this. Where when we really get the first talk with Jake and the Colonel, the mech suit that he's in looks pretty bad.
It does.
And when you zoom into seeing him in a real set with a real costume kind of on, it's very jarring when it cuts away.
Like, I know a lot of people hate this movie, but go back and look at the mech scenes from Matrix Revolutions, which honestly, the mechs are very similar looking. I also point out the mechs in this, clear as day, is like, oh, James Cameron, you're just doing your power loader.
They're the power loaders.
Got it. And even some of the ships too is like, this looks like your aliens design. Again, where I feel like you didn't care about the humans. You were interested in this world you're building. Now, that being said, there are many Pandora shots and vistas that do look good and do hold up.
They said that, like, there's very specific scenes where you're just like, oh, you spent every dime you could on this.
But there's equally, like, even in the finale, the scene where Jake's choking and he's reaching for the mask, which I believe is a real set, but it looks fake. I don't know if it's like the way it's lit, it's so brightly lit.
I think it's supposed to be a gas effect that's leaking into the oxygen-filled room.
But it's not just like, there's other scenes too, like even Sigourney Weaver when she's getting talked down to by Papa Dragon, that I think maybe now stands out more. The TVs, the screens that we have, the resolution that they're doing,
right?
Where it's like, ooh. And that ending fight with that mech never looks good.
No, the mech really does not look good.
Like you see its knee joint, right? I was looking at him like, it doesn't look bad. It just looks super cartoon. Like,
it's really weird,
like a cartoon,
that the incomprehensible Transformers look better.
Yeah.
But going into Aliens, Sigourney Weaver, she's pissed off because she's like, I don't want this stupid cripple on my team. I hate the paraplegic. I'm going to go argue with the guy who has all the money and he has a stupid haircut. Also, I'm going to ruin his golf game.
Also, Grandma's Boy villain does not like Jake either.
Yeah.
Because you're just a jarhead.
He's just a jarhead of the Jarhead clan. And let's talk about unobtainium for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. Enlighten me.
BJB.
On unobtainium.
Unobtainium is a really stupid name, but it's real.
How about you go and just call it MacGuffinism?
Unobtainium is a real term. It's in real papers. It is a term that was made up for aerospace engineers in the 1950s to describe an item that would do the perfect thing they need that does not exist. It's the idea of an element that can be discovered that fills a very niche purpose. Fuck you.
That's a great history lesson. In knowing that is also great. I kind of picked that up from the movie in general because it also seems like you named it for this.
James Cameron also did not use the term unobtainium in a movie first. The first time was in the movie The Core.
I mean, that doesn't
mean anything. It's not a good defense.
But again, he could have literally just called it MacGuffin.
That's what the purpose of it is it's what actually fuels their jets. It's what fuels their rocket ship.
The rocket ship they used to get to Pandora?
Yes.
Great. So they need that to get home?
Yes.
I'm just you could still have all this mineral, but like
it's a pretty bad name.
Give your two villains a motivation that the audience can in any way get behind or relate to or understand. Again, tell us that this can fix Earth.
For me, it kind of seems like it's more for this is the way we get away from Earth so we can go and explore other places.
You know, it's weird for all the nitpicking I'm going to do. No part of me is like, did you find other planets that have other life forms?
Right.
How did you find Pandora? Where is it in the solar system? To its credit, never even really crossed my mind.
Not at all.
It's like, okay, cool, Pandora.
That is what unobtainium is. I do think the name is stupid, but at least it's real. At least it's not adamantium. At least it's not elementium.
I'm going to go
Ethereum.
I'm going to dig into if Eternium has ever been used somewhere else before.
I want to find out.
Probably in He-Man. He-Man probably uses Eternium. His sword was forged in it.
The linking effect with the avatars when he finally gets to go inside of it is really bad, and it's really cartoony. That effect looks awful, Pacific Rim took that and run.
I also want to point out, I did fall asleep many times during this movie.
Was that a part where you fell asleep?
No, I did overall see this entire movie, but it ended up being in like different chunks.
And that's 20 minutes into the fucking movie.
Oh no, dude, the first time that I fell asleep was as he got to Pandora, and after Meals on Wheels, I fell asleep until he was already in the tribe.
That's like 7 minutes.
Telling you, man. I know they explained why they built the avatars and probably even explained the technology, how they did it.
I don't know if they did.
But considering that all of this company wants is to get this minerals, like, why did you spend any amount of money to build?
I think it's literally an opposite faction where they were like, hey, I want to do this. No, I want to do this. No, I want to do this.
They went to the effort of making the faces of the avatar look like the person who's going to pilot it.
Right.
Which doesn't serve any purpose. And where eventually we see that there's also like, then why don't you just go as people? Like, and the movie immediately shows us that the Na'vi can fucking tell that you're not one of us.
Well, let's get into the details of that. So
but I was going to point out, like, for all the messaging that's in this movie, is that not cultural appropriation?
It absolutely is, isn't it? That's pretty bad.
We're supposed to think that the avatars are a good thing and they're stopping this colonialism takeovers. Like, they're also appropriating an entire culture down to their sex organs.
So, talking about that, there is a difference between the avatars and the actual Na'vi. Outside of just their faces. One, the actual Na'vi do not have eyebrows. Their noses are more cat-like, where Jake's has still more of a human curve. And also, the Na'vi have 4 fingers and 4 toes, where the human avatars still have 5 fingers and 5 toes.
Fucking freaks.
So that's the major difference.
I hope that gets brought up in the sequel, like Materi's sleeping with that 5-fingered freak.
That's the actual racism in the movie.
And again, with the hair coupling thing.
Hang on, don't get ahead of yourself, Buster. Speaking of the tentacle hair, there's a whack-off joke right off the beginning, which does not help the movie with the hair sex jokes. You shouldn't have made that joke to begin with. It fucks it up.
I don't remember the joke. What was the joke?
Oh, he's sitting there looking at it, and Sigourney Weaver says, "Don't play with that; you'll go blind."
Okay, so this is my thing with the hair sex stuff. And what you just said is totally accurate, too. Don't forget, James Cameron wrote all of this.
He did.
So the first time I ever shown the hair stuff is him coupling with the dragon things.
No, the first time you see it, it's the horse.
I mean, like, use it like what it's used for.
Horse.
Oh, it's a horse. My bad. Okay. And you're just like, okay, so this is how they connect with other animals or whatever species. I mean, the whole planet's connected.
Once again, you're getting too far ahead.
Because of the life tree. So you see that, and it's like, did that animal say that was okay? But you don't think that at the time until then the sex scene happens. And you think back, and you're like, wait a minute.
And it's because of
Did you rape that horse?
It's because of this one line from Sigourney Weaver that makes that connection.
But also when you watch the dragon scenes where he's forcefully having to do it, it's like, this is
weird.
This is wrong. And you didn't have to do that. You could have just had them kiss and like lay down in a neon flowery bed and then fade to black. Like any other PG-13 movie sex scene. It's like, I guess they had sex. Instead, you showed us. Nope, it's the hair, y'all.
So on a lighter note, Pandora has 3 moons. I think they have names.
I'm sure. I totally believe they do.
I don't know what they are.
I mean, every species of animal, even if it's not said in the movie, it has a name. I think every plant has a name. And James Cameron worked out like
every rose has its thorns. Michelle Rodriguez is in this movie.
And she does what Michelle Rodriguez does in every movie, which is die.
And then she's also very beautiful, and I love her.
I do have issues with her character.
She is a goddess.
Like when she says, "I didn't sign up for this shit." It's like,
I didn't sign up for this shit. You did.
You're in the military to steal. Like, what did you think they were going to do?
But okay.
Also, I question, when did she have time to paint her ship for the ending battle?
That was pretty funny. Like, why'd she do that? And also, she painted her face.
It's so that we, the audience, know, like, oh, that's the good one.
Oh, yeah. And also, it's like you also put a target right on yourself. You could have blended in with the other guys. Stephen Lang, still, just like everything he does, even the worst lines he could possibly deliver, he's still very likable.
Even though they're delivered cartoonishly, I think he understood the script he was given and was like,
right.
Okay.
So, like, when we first get our first adventure, we're in the Avatar bodies. We're going out for our first little run, our fun run.
Jake's like, I've got legs.
Yeah, literally, he's got legs and he starts running, and it's so crazy the amount of detail that he decided to put into the world. Because even as he stops, there's like little bugs flying around him. It's like, really?
And it is really good storytelling in the aspect of from his first expedition and his meeting of Natiri. He's always touching things.
It does a good job of making it feel like a real place.
And the world is always reacting. Everything lights up. If he touches a lizard, turns out it's got a whirligig tail that lights up. And so it does engage you. And if you don't know the name or why these things work this way, it's visually engaging.
It's a feeling of wonder, of discovery.
And again,
she like Sigourney Weaver throws him a fruit and it's like, God damn, that looks delicious. I want to eat that.
Sigourney Weaver's avatar looks a lot. Actually, I like her better in her avatar.
I kind of do too. She seems happier.
There's something about the way she's playing her character.
You know, that's also a really weird thing that happens in the movie. I didn't write this in my notes, but the first time you see her, she's like, "Where's my goddamn cigarette?"
She's smoking a lot.
A lot. And it's
almost
like,
the point where you think that would be a plot point of some sort.
It makes you feel like there was a plot point of where she was going to have cancer. And that's why she was going into the Avatar.
That's why the ritual didn't work. It wasn't just that she got shot and they were too late. It's like, oh, you've got cancer.
Yeah, sorry.
We can't deal with cancer.
Sorry that even on the wonderful world of Pandora, we can't heal cancer. I'm really sorry about that. Going on, we start seeing our first real animals, which is a bunch of purple birds. And they've got 4 wings and 2 legs. So this sets up this idea that the animals of Pandora have 6 limbs. So that makes you wonder, hey, why the fuck don't the Na'vi have 6 limbs?
Maybe they do. We just haven't seen all of it.
He thought about it. He actually thought about it. And the first close-up is a bunch of monkeys that have 6 limbs, but their arms are fusing together with evolution. So at their elbow, they have 2 arms. So it's combining into one. And you see the tiny eyes on the side of their heads because all the species also have 4 eyes. They're big eyes. They're big, yeah, nerds. They have really big eyes and they're zipping around the trees. It's like, oh, look, just like Earth. That's an orangutan.
Did the Na'vi evolve?
They did.
I want there to be an argument in the sequel. Like, we didn't evolve from these 4-armed monkeys. We're our own people.
This is not Awa's design. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I like that. And then you see more birds. They also have like 4 wings. Pretty much everything that flies has 4 wings here with 2 legs.
I didn't pick up on that. But
I saw that Norm, he's our other avatar. He has a hat that has Braille on it. I did not look up what that Braille meant. I meant to do that before we started.
It is mentioned that like Jake's legs can be fixed.
Oh,
That's what the Colonel uses. Like, hey, if you do this for me, I'll get you your legs back.
I'll get you your legs back, son.
I guess Jake was just too poor, but then it makes me wonder.
He did say at the beginning of the movie, he's just like, he's like, a broken spine that can be fixed, but only if you've got the money or something like that.
But it makes me wonder, what was his relationship with his brother? Like, could your brother not fix your fucking legs?
Did you get your legs fucked up the moment your brother died? Also, did he have money? Did you get a settlement?
Yeah.
But going into that, we see our first boss of the movie.
The rhino thing.
It's a giant hammerhead shark bull.
Which do save the day in the finale.
It has 4 eyes and 6 limbs as well. Its CGI did not really hold up that well, honestly, when you see it actually moving. You can tell they did not spend a lot of money on that one in particular. That's when you get the real boss coming out. It's pretty much afterwards, which is they named it
Shadow Cougar thing.
It's called a Thanator. Thanos Thor. It also has 6 limbs, and it has 2 main eyes, but you can see smaller eyes on the back of its head. So it's I was actually watching this movie. I'm like, hey, it's actually pretty consistent with this. This is the thing though that I have a problem with, and I'm going to break my rule. It just straight up uses Jurassic Park T-Rex sounds, and I will play them side by side right here.
Wow.
It uses multiple Jurassic Park sounds, actually. There's raptor sounds mixed in, and it's like, for all of this wondrous world building and all this originality, why did you not let your
sound team?
Why did the sound team just like straight up not even like pitch the sounds? They didn't change it. There's a slow motion scene where it rips out of the grass and it's just a Jurassic Park T-Rex roar.
Do you think it's maybe actually an issue of budget of like, look, Titanic did go over budget. Yeah, it turned out to be the biggest movie ever, so it worked. But hey, we don't know.
It's so weird
that this is going to work. But and you built this fucking camera. You're doing all this other stuff. Like,
it's so weird.
You have to make a concession. Like, well,
I feel like the sound though wouldn't be that hard.
But there's tons of movies you can go back through that are major studio productions where they did just like, well,
true.
There's some where they even used score from another, like.
You know what? That's a good point. At the time, Jurassic Park was a dead franchise. It was extinct. And so maybe those sounds. You've been
holding on to that joke for like almost 100 million years.
65 million to be precise. But I know that at the time there was other movies coming out like on sci-fi that would use Jurassic Park sounds and stuff too. So maybe it was just literally a sound folder. It could be a meta thing where it's like, I'm sure Jurassic Park started CGI. Well, let's use Jurassic Park sounds.
Universal will probably license that out. Like, do you want to give us $1 million? You can use this.
I wouldn't doubt it, but it is weird, and it is in multiple parts of the movie that I didn't realize. Even the horses themselves are doing Velociraptor snarls.
Yeah, it'd be more impressive to me if they were straight up like, "This is ripped out of Dances with Wolves."
That's where the sounds came from.
If he can cast Kevin Costner in one of these sequels,
I would like that. That'd be cool.
Hey, you know what? I guess Stephen Lang is back in this one.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, make Kevin Costner the bad guy.
Sure. Let's do that.
Kevin, hit us up. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, he's running away from this thing. He gets into the nighttime. He's starting to fire. He
gets into the nighttime.
He gets into that nighttime. He does a loading screen and it gets to nighttime pretty quickly. He's scratching up some sticks with a knife.
When you say it like that, now as I'm thinking about this movie, like this movie is even laid out like a video game.
It is. He's fucking hitting those fucking sticks. He's making them into spikes. He's got to make a torch so he can survive the night. There's Minecraft mobs about. They're gonna sneak up on him, and you hear those actually completely unedited hyena sounds with these dogs that are running around.
That's weird. I know I'm on an alien planet, but it sounds like human dogs.
Is this the Lion King? But this is where we get introduced to Neytiri, and I have to say
she's gonna kill him.
She's gonna kill him, but
and
then
a little wisp.
Yeah, the little seed lands on the top or the tip of her arrow, and she's like, "Holy shit!
Don't kill him. You're gonna bang this dude later."
This is the part of the movie where it makes it really obvious that she has only 4 digits on her hand because she's pulling back that arrow, and you can really see because it's like, hey, your shit looks weird. So I did look. She has 4 toes, and the way that it looks is absolutely disgusting. It's horrifying. It looks like she has a toe that's missing in between her big toe and the rest of her toes. It's really gross.
If James Cameron dies, will Quentin Tarantino pick this up and give us a very foot-heavy version of Avatar? We haven't seen those 4 toes.
I don't need you to tell me how fucking good my Na'Vi is.
Do you know, did they, like, for, like, Zoe and all the other Na'Vi actors, did they, like, bind 2 of their fingers together to give them 4 fingers, or were they acting with the 5 fingers?
That was CGI. That wasn't a real person.
They're not real?
Fuck.
Oh, so okay.
But no, for real, I think it's pretty much they just put the little dots.
Because I know they were capped and everything.
Yeah, I think they just didn't put the dots on those fingers.
Fair enough.
I think it was literally their pinky. I don't know about the feet, though. I don't know if you really do that far. Yeah. Zoe Saldana did create the way Na'Vi sounds. And she pretty much designed the character herself. She was like all in on this thing.
Kind of remember something about that.
So that being said, let's talk about the sex of Avatar.
I think I already didn't I?
Let's talk about
very aggressive. What happens if they go bald?
There are uncensored nipples in this movie, multiple times.
A takeaway from this rewatch for me was this is the most movie with no nudity that has basically naked people in it.
There is actual nipple scenes, and it's still in this version. I watched it in 4K. I was a kid hitting puberty, and I watched it, so of course I was looking, and it's still there.
Was there some awakening for you in this movie, Nemo?
I'm not going to comment on that. So the MPAA is really weird with its rating system.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually unknown what their rating system is.
So it's their discretion, whatever they feel like at the time.
So the way that this movie was made, there are multiple times where it is completely uncensored in like high action scenes, but because it's not a sexual tone, it's like ignored. I thought Disney would edit that out for sure, but they did not. So it's still there. And then when I looked more into it, I wanted to be like, like, did James Cameron just really say, let's animate some nipples?
I also do.
Like, what?
Some of the MPAA is also like a personal bias thing. And I don't think James Cameron has ever pushed an envelope with any of his movies and or really fought with the MPAA. I only bring that up because I've recently learned that Predator 2 was the first movie to be initially given an NC-17. They obviously went in and edited things out.
Right.
But the creation of the NC-17 rating just happened. Predator 2 would have been the first one to get it, because it is gorier than the other one. And it was pointed out that they were making because it's not that intense.
And not really.
They were making an example because that movie is produced by Joel Silver, who is making a lot of bloody action movies and apparently had also fought with the MPAA over stuff.
So they were just like, they had a chip on their shoulder over it.
We're going to do this because you can't do anything. Like, you can't do anything about it.
I wanted to look more into that, and I ended up finding some really weird interviews with James Cameron from Playboy.
Hey, look, there are articles in that magazine. I don't know if you know that. I read a lot of Playboy.
What he said, though, is really bizarre.
Shocking, a celebrity said something bizarre.
It makes me think also that it's fake. It also reads like a joke. Like, it really reads like a joke. But what he said was, when we made Neytiri, I said she's got to have tits, despite her race not being a placental mammal. Do you know what a placental mammal is?
I mean, I've never heard that term, but I know there are only specific animals that have, breasts because they're there for a specific reason.
There's 3 versions of what an animal will breed with. A placental is the one that's a natural birth. The other 2 are egg layers and pouch marsupials.
I'd say the Na'Vi are the marsupial type.
Did you see a pouch on any of them?
No, but they do have that marsupial, like their leg. They're very scrawny, like they're very thin, and their legs make me think marsupial.
So now with the new Avatar 2, with the privilege of seeing a trailer 15 years later, we see that Neytiri is very pregnant. Do you think that was a joke, or do you think it was retconned?
I think it was maybe a retcon. And even if retconning James Cameron being 15 years older, it's like, you know what?
That was dumb.
That was dumb. Let's not do that. And they're aliens. He can do whatever he wants.
He did say in another interview that he wanted the Na'vi to be relatable to its intended human audience. He's like, I didn't want to make a race of really weird animal things.
Saying he wasn't making a movie for the Na'vi?
He was not making a movie for the Na'vi, despite what people may believe. But with that, too, I wanted to talk about the actual mating process of the Na'vi.
I'm concerned about the research you've done.
I am, too. If you go by the official guide that came out, they mate like a normal animal would. The hair connection is literally just their version of like a heart-to-heart kiss.
So like
it connects their brains
over the pants stuff.
Yeah, over the pants stuff. So basically, what it's saying is they can bang the regular way, but when they got that hair connected, that's the most earth-shattering orgasm you could possibly have.
I guess I get why Jake wants to, permanently be in his avatar.
Also, according to the original 2009 document, it says here that Na'vi women and men can be sexually active, but can somehow choose to abstain from reproduction. Somehow a Na'vi woman can choose not to be pregnant.
Is this what the Republicans read?
This is what they were trying to do. They have male and male and female relationships, and those aren't uncommon. Relations outside of bonded pairs is also not uncommon. They're very progressive for their time.
While still using arranged marriages.
Don't worry about that part.
Okay.
Woke avatar? Should that be the logo for this, the thumbnail for this episode?
Wave the woke.
Should we put a picture of the old, or the her ex-boyfriend, put a big red circle around it and put cuck in big letters?
What's the Na'vi word for cuck?
So
actually, that translates all species. We all get it.
It's universal.
I just like to watch.
So yeah, it's nighttime, and these hyenas, they're coming after Jake.
Oh, we're back to this.
We're back to Jake, and
we took a little mating detour.
We took a detour. That was my thought process when I was watching this movie. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it took a lot of detours.
Neytiri saves him, of course. She's like, turn off the fucking fire, you idiot. This world glows. Did you not read a manual? And then
did you not touch enough stuff?
Did you not touch grass? Did you not get ratioed? So you kind of get like this nice, like, sciencey part of this, which is also very James Cameron kind of deal to do, is to like throw you some science stuff to throw it out the window at the end.
I thought you were going to say just a character dumping exposition on another character.
That too, though.
Because it takes me back to Kyle Reese and Terminator, just like, okay, Sarah Connor, here's how it goes.
Yeah.
Terminator is an endoskeleton alloy with human skin over it. It will not stop, blah, 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 future war. And by the way, like, I don't know it, but I'm going to put a kid in you.
That's pretty much Norm's purpose, including putting a kid in Jake. But yeah, they have lower gravity. You get explained that by the Colonel.
Hallelujah Mountains.
Yeah, and he's like, I gotta pump this iron. I can't get weak here. Despite the lower gravity, we gotta be strong.
Which wouldn't is like, their station where he's inside have their normal gravity?
Right. So that's another thing too, is that
it has normal air, which is made very clear that Pandora's toxic.
There's never anything in this movie that would even reflect that gravity is different. That makes me wonder, like, is it like so much that it's not really noticeable? Because if you have
Na'vi are jumping around a lot.
When you have high and low gravity combined, it really fucks with bodies. And the Na'vi are really, really tall and skinny. If they had low gravity, they would actually be like stockier. So it's like if it was like really, really low. So this is one of those things like,
I mean, you have to trust James Cameron. He clearly knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. I was like, I think you got your science confused, my man. I did look up for about an hour what bioluminescence does.
Did that enhance your viewing experience?
No, it didn't really give me a lot of information. Bioluminescence is energy that is burned. Instead of making heat, it makes light. And it's only found in certain things. It's not known to exist in any non-fungal plants, amphibians, reptiles, birds, or mammals on our planet. I thought that was interesting. So only funguses and like grasses and fish.
You know, the more you describe these things that you've researched, even down to the sex thing, knowing how much James Cameron loves to be underwater and just like clearly wants to not be part of this world, I feel like Pandora was
this is my
perfect world. This is where I wish I could be.
Yeah. The bioluminescence is in everything, including the Na'vi. You see them starting to glow too, even the human version, which is like...
Do you think when Jake hits the G-spot, she glows?
Maybe. She's glowing.
Oh!
Maybe there's some deeper science that I don't understand about bioluminescence.
I don't remember his name, but that'd be good if the guy she's supposed to marry, that's how he knew, like, you're glowing, you slut.
What? You bitch with this woman? Is that what he says?
I don't remember.
But honestly, the glowing stuff just looks really cool.
Yeah.
And that's what James Cameron says, like, this is cool.
I don't even have a nitpick about it.
Honestly, like,
and even if the science of it or anything else didn't add up, it's like, oh, it looks cool.
This is definitely like the nighttime scene is definitely one of the ones where they're like, this is where we spend the money.
I kind of wish the ending battle took place at night.
I wonder if they'll do that in the new one.
I hope.
This is something I didn't catch in my first watch through, but when the Na'vi are like, they're like running around playing in the field, they're like, ha ha ha. And then the actual like guys come in like, hey, what the fuck is this thing doing here? This 5-fingered freak. So they bola him and he knocks him down and she's hissing at him and he's like, we're taking her to your father. What's this outsider doing here? They don't bind his hands. What he does is he grabs him by the ponytail and has a knife under the ponytail.
So I'll cut your dick off.
Basically, which is like, that is really threatening. But also, the thing is
what would that do to Jake?
Jake does not know what the Avatar does, so he is not worried at all. So it's like he has no idea that he is literally like fucked if he says the wrong thing.
Well, not really. He'll never be fucked after that.
True. I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and it does come back later when they capture some other people. They're like binding their hair instead. It's like, how about that? But I did think it was cool when they actually entered the world tree. All the Na'vi actually have like individual faces. They're all unique. They're not just copy paste in the background. I was like, that's a lot of effort for all these things, and really impressive considering other movies are just like, fuck it, copy and paste it.
And for all the nitpicking that I've done, and there's more to come, of the special effects, I also think that the Na'vi themselves hold up.
They really do.
To where I think like That's probably where all the budget went of like, make sure you get that right. And if the rest of the stuff looks like what it looks like, that's fine.
Right. You get to hear more about Awa, their god. They think that his full name is Jake Sully. They think that is his full name because they don't have last names.
He's from the clan Jarhead.
And he does say that he's from the clan Jarhead, which is like, okay.
And we also learn a little bit more about the Na'vi, I guess you'd say, hierarchy system.
Yeah, you get to learn
they have a leader and a spiritual leader.
Yeah, like a soothsayer along with their king.
And that they have to be married to each other for some reason.
Whatever.
Because that's what Natiri is supposed to become. Yeah.
She's supposed to.
Which I assume she will be in this new one.
It'd be cool if they do a role reversal and Jake becomes the...
Jake's just both because
he's their savior. He's both. He kills her. You get to see a little bit more of their culture. You see them playing instruments and eating around like a campfire together kind of a thing. They didn't really go in a lot on the instruments thing. They kind of stopped when he shows up because they're like, oh, the freak's here.
James Cameron doesn't care much about music.
And
he blew his load all on the plants.
He steps on another Navi's tail and she hisses.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And
it's just like, oh, look at him. He's so out of his depth.
Look at this idiot. The hammocks that they go to sleep in look pretty comfortable, and I wish I had one.
And they're bioluminescent as well.
They are too, and you just touch the side of it. I want that.
I appreciated that James didn't throw in, because I didn't remember much. I thought when Jake was getting in the hammock, like, you're going to fall out. Like, because he kind of struggles to get in it a little bit.
They could have done a joke about that, huh?
And I'm glad he didn't, because, like, movie's long enough as this.
If it was a Marvel production, he would fall out, hit the ground, and be like, well, that just happened.
It's weird in this, even as you're recapping, and I'm like, I know where we're at in the story. I know where the story's going. The story itself is actually pretty small.
It's very small.
And yet it takes you 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to these beats.
It sure does.
And I'm kind of like, I don't know why. Because a lot of stuff is in because the next thing coming up is essentially the beginning of the montage scene.
This is the beginning of the montage. You get him going back to the place, and they're like, hey, check this out, Colonel. I'm with him. I'm in the base, my man.
By accident.
And he's like, that's good news. And he's like,
also, hold on. You guys built these advanced fucking avatars because the first thing when Jake makes his way back because he fell asleep, that's how they got him back, which is unclear. Like, if you just pulled him out, is it like the Matrix and you go brain dead?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, no, the first thing Scotty Weaver says is the avatar okay? And it's like, can you not track that fucking thing? You built this amazing thing. It's like, and once it's out there, we don't know what it's doing.
Maybe he's in the technically. Yeah, what?
The same as towards the end when the good guy group is getting on their jet to leave, and like Papa Dragon can see it. It's like, so you can see and you're alerted that this is happening,
you're alerted,
but you can't in any way shut down this thing from launching.
It's really weird because like,
and this is being nitpicky, I understand.
No, but that's valid because it's like, well, they know that he's not dead because you would assume he would just come out if he's dead. And I guess they could tell that he's still alive because maybe his brain is like still functioning. So it's like, oh, well, he's doing something, so he's surviving.
He's definitely not acting.
And if, I guess maybe if they did eject him, which they do that later, it makes them instantly pass out on the spot. They log off of their computer. And so they're like, well, shit, if he's still running around, he might be like escaping from a monster. We shouldn't hit the eject button and lose our multi-million-dollar item. So like, let's see if he survives the night.
Also, is it the business side of our group that has funded the sign? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
But the only reason he's doing it, that Giovanni even like funded it, was to get the unobtainium. But again, I'm looking at it from the villain's point of view, is like, why do you care? I know he even says like, oh, it looks bad if we just kill the indigenous people.
He seems like he has a moral compass that he does not want to do.
We give him a minor redeeming thing where he's like, you've got 1 hour. I'm going to give you one more hour.
He's afraid of being canceled on Twitter.
It's just like, your shareholders don't give a fuck.
No, they don't care.
And granted, we don't see much on Earth, but it's like, I don't imagine.
And also, Stephen Lang literally just wants to kill these people.
And I legit was like, does anyone on Earth even know that the Na'vi exist?
Right.
Because like Jake didn't.
Fuck it, kill him.
He had no idea about any of this. I assume they know about Pandora.
Well, no, yeah, they said that they grew up hearing tales about Pandora.
And again, like, would they really care if it's like, yeah, and we wiped out the people over there?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, I don't know. The way that the Earth is presented here is like, well, we fucked this planet up.
Let's fuck up another one.
But it's like, you could just present the Na'vi as another animal. Like, you don't have to present them as people. Because they're not coming to Earth.
No,
that would be an interesting story. That would be the Na'vi coming to Earth.
That's the fire one. They're gonna set the Earth on fire, finish it off.
I'm down.
But no, they so
no, that won't happen because James Cameron doesn't give a shit about Earth. He doesn't want to leave Pandora.
That's fair. No, he's gonna blow it up so it makes Pandora even more like that's where you want to be. Let's blow up the real Earth and make a real Pandora, guys.
I want the Hallelujah Mountains.
The Hallelujah Mountains. So he
Norm is so excited about that.
He really is.
Like the Hallelujah Mountains? And it's like, did you not just go to it if you want? Like, you just get Michelle Rodriguez to fly you up there.
Right.
Doesn't seem like it's a big deal.
You want to get in a jetpack, my man? Like, come on. So you get fucking douchebag company guy. He's like,
his name, Selfridge.
I did not get his name.
I'm pointing that out specifically because
it's selfish.
It was like, Jesus Christ.
It really is selfish. So
the selfish guy wants his unobtainium. He's might as well just called the general bad.
He's like scrolling through this fucking map, and he's like, "Somebody help me!"
Oh yeah,
like come. I want to look at the tree. He's
no,
like,
not that far.
Fast. Like back, and it's like this is a lot of effort for this. And he's like, right there. That's where the biggest vein of unobtainium is, and there's fucking trees sitting on it. You got 3 months to get them out of that tree.
So that's my other issue with the story is like, first of all, you're indicating that like clearly you guys have found unobtainium somewhere else. I understand there's a lot of it there, but you're also saying, but it's all over the planet, so you could just get it elsewhere.
But they want to suck it out of Wakanda right under that tree.
I can't wait for unobtainium to make its MCU debut.
It already did.
But it's also like you've been here for, I don't even remember if the movie explains how long they've been there and what it doesn't matter. Then you're like, I'm willing to wait 3 months to get it though.
Right.
Why would he?
But
and also, why would the generals like, well, it's there, let's just go fucking get it. Which I mean is what eventually happens at the end of the 3 months.
Yeah, he does go up to Jake and he's like, by the way, go and get your legs back. He's like, yeah. Pulled out some shit.
That's the other thing we're pointing to is when his legs are like 3 months are up, general's like, we're gonna go get it. You're going back to Earth, you're gonna get your legs. And Jake's like, you know what? I only want my legs.
He's like, sounds good to me, my man.
I got a hot girl.
Not yet. At that time, he's like, sounds good to me, sir.
This is such a selfish story if he's just like,
it is.
Here I have legs and a hot girlfriend and I can tame dragons, bro.
At the very beginning of this, like this new montage that's happening, he's like, every day my legs got stronger. You get to see the horses. He can't really ride a horse. He keeps fucking up. It introduces, like you said, the tentacle connection.
Couldn't it have just been as interesting and more interesting story if it was just our discovery of Pandora and the Na'vi and the actual conflict between the military, scientists, and the business. And you don't need Jake.
But Jake is the heart of the story. He is a he has a heart of gold. He has a heart of gold. He's so good. He's not selfish whatsoever. Don't look too deep into it. Hot girlfriend.
I'm not a big fan of Titanic either, but it's probably the best he's done. James Cameron's not good
at writing good
romantic relationships, is what I was going to get at. Down to an Alien stands out because he didn't. Like it's hinted at of Ripley and Hicks kind of being attracted to each other, but nothing ever, it doesn't consummate or even get to it. It's just like, oh, they do kind of dig each other. Terminator is weird as fuck when you think about it as like, you've known this dude for about 13 hours. Yeah. And you're just going to raw dog him. Right. And he got you pregnant in that one get-go. And then you're just like, and then about 6 hours later, that dude's dead. And you're just like, this is the only man I ever loved.
Really?
And for him too, it's like, yeah, I've been jerking off to your picture for a long time. Do you think as Kyle Reese died, he was like, oh shit, is John Connor my son?
He's like, wow.
Did it dawn on him like, oh, holy shit.
So hey, the way that they connect their hair, it's called Shahelu.
Great. I'm glad that he made a name for it.
It means the bond. And you remember all that talk that I had earlier about like the cool science and stuff? Mm-hmm. You got the floating mountains, of course, the Hallelujah Mountains. Let's not think about that one. We start seeing the Banshee, which are also called the Ikran from the Na'vi.
Right. Yeah. That is the only other name that I remember. But I've been calling them dragons the whole time.
Yeah. The Banshee's a cooler name. It's pretty much the main transport of the Na'vi. It is their technological advantage. If they didn't have that, I think the Army would have wiped them out already. It's because they can fly with that makes them dangerous.
No, Nemo. The Army would have wiped them out regardless. They were knocking them out of the sky, period. The only reason that the Na'vi won is because they had Jake Sully.
Oh, you know what? My mistake.
Without the white man, they had no hope. I mean, they had a little Michelle Rodriguez, but she didn't last very long.
Not very long at all.
Do you think would she have lasted longer if they'd given her a fucking Ikron?
Yes, they would have, and let me tell you why. You know, they got 4 wings, they got 2 legs. They also got 4 eyes. Well, the Banshee also have 4 eyes. They got 2 really large predator eyes with large irises, like an owl's eye. They can see everything in front of them. Their second eye is a goat's eye. And what that means is a goat's eye can see in 63 degrees. It can almost see behind it, below it, above it, to watch for other predators.
Until you just said all this stuff, which is totally relevant and great. I didn't realize what I really want to see now. I want to see the predators come to Pandora.
They would get fucked up. Maybe. The Na'vi would. The Na'vi would get fucked up. If Jake's there, they won't, though.
I mean, now it's all owned by the same studio, and like James Cameron, if you do this, your fun movie trivia fact.
That's what should...
The actual facial design of the Predator was James Cameron. He was on a plane sitting next to the guy, I think it's Alec Gillis. He was trying to come up with the design for it.
That's cool.
He was like, you should give it mandibles. So the mouth, the face of the Predator was actually James Cameron's idea.
That's what should have been in the box at the end of the Predator. It should have been Jake Sully.
I shit you not. I bet there was a draft was like, what if put an Na'vi in there?
You could have.
Because I mean, originally it was supposed to be Schwarzenegger, which doesn't make any sense. At one point they thought Adrian Brody from Predators, which actually would make sense. Like, oh, I guess that's how we got back.
Right.
But they did even float. What if Ellen Ripley was in there? Which doesn't make sense because she's in the future, dipshit. So I'm sure someone did say, like, well, I mean, we own the Na'vi. We could put a Na'vi in there. But you're also right. I do believe a Na'vi on its own, a Yautja would just decimate.
Yeah. With that goat's eye, they have incredible depth perception.
Depth perception.
Oh,
you're going to die.
So that means they're really, really, really good at flying. They can whip around those mountains. And
now, Natir explains once they bond with their Ikron, they will never fly with another one or another
person.
Na'vi. But can a Na'vi bond with a bunch of Ikron?
I think they can.
Because like hers gets got.
Right.
She also gets over that real quick.
She does.
She's like, well, moving on. I mean, I see you. You did.
With the position of their eyes, it's on the top of their head, which is a good thing because there is one more predator that's above them. So they got to look up for that thing all the time.
Talking about the giant dragon?
The giant one, yes.
That Jake immediately, being only the 6th person ever in their entire existence, like, I got it.
Right. So after this, he's explaining, you know, like, hey, she's teaching me all this shit. I'm actually really excited to fly a thing. That sounds pretty cool. I got my legs back. I'd like to fly now.
Son of a bitch.
You can see the passage of time as his hair is growing. So it's like, that's a nice detail. I like that. It also means they recorded it backwards.
Again, I appreciate all this detailing. You're reminding me of James Cameron. It was like, yeah, and then like his hair's growing and they've got a goat's eye up there. Someone else was also going, yeah, but James, the story though. Don't worry about the story.
I might be able to get along with James Cameron. We'd be like, look at this. This is cool. What if they had purple blood because their skin is like a tangerine, so it makes sense because, I don't know.
All right, fine. Explain how the T-1000 travels through time because it's liquid metal. And you said that only human flesh could do it.
I just start making the Terminator sound louder. So a Banshee chooses its rider. It will try to kill them. That's what they say.
Yep, I was awake for that part.
Does that mean that they're like choosing all the people they're fighting?
I guess it's like a trial by combat type of thing. I'm just like, but are they also saying that a Banshee then won't try to kill? Like, you could just walk through a nest of Banshees and like, if none of them want you to ride them, then they won't ever try to kill you.
That's pretty nice.
I guess so. Yeah,
it's good protection.
And then if one tries to kill you, you're like, great, there you
are. Cool.
But also, I kind of wanted to explain like, how many of you have died like trying to get your Ikron?
They should have had another one go before Jake and get fucking off. That'd be really funny.
I would have nitpicked that. So it would have been like, so you're telling me a natural Na'Vi just got, but white boy here, like, I got this.
Yeah. So they explain that the big dragon, as you call it, is called Toruk. It looks like a Quetzalcoatl a little bit. And
yep, these are totally words.
That is a real dinosaur. Thank you. It's not a dinosaur, it's a flying reptile, but whatever. It tries to kill Jake almost immediately. So that is like,
I assume that it tries to kill everyone almost immediately.
I would too, but it's like, hey, is it the same rules for that? Is he choosing Jake because he tried to kill him? Is that why he gets to tame him later? Or is it just, whatever?
Do you think when he came back on that Turok, that Natari just got super wet?
Yes, I do.
I want you to tame me.
It says that
this is taking a very sexual time.
The original writers, when they did that, and the other 5, they always brought the clans together in a time of great sorrow, which is like great name.
I mean, it's all set up to explain how Jake can fix the third act conflict.
Right. So you start seeing him coming out of his his JO chamber. And he's
I was like, for a second, I was like, is that what they're jerk off?
He's making his little videos, but dude, his legs look fucked up because he's stopped eating in the real world. He's a true masturbatorian, and his body is going to waste.
I don't remember at this point.
So his legs get more skinny and fucked up.
Have they already explained or told him even the idea that like there's a possibility of transferring his consciousness permanently?
I don't think so.
So no. He is just literally giving his body away.
Pretty much. If they continued to let him do it, if they didn't do anything, he probably would have just died of malnourishment.
And also, then what happens to the avatar bodies? Like, will it rot? Or because it's a machine, right?
No, it's.
Oh, I mean, it's organic.
Yeah, it's organic. So I guess it would just regular rot. That's weird. That's really weird.
He didn't think that through, did he? I want to see Sigourney Weaver's rotting avatar corpse in the sequel. I want it to open on that.
It's like shrunk up like a skeleton. That's funny.
Oh, now I'm also thinking, what kind of xenomorph would come out of a Na'vi?
That might be pretty badass.
Yeah. Hey, James, if this one doesn't work out, let's go full rated R.
Dude, come on, get Ridley Scott on board.
No, don't do that.
No, wait, don't. No. So he gets to bang Natiri. They fall in love.
Okay. You said that. Look, he gets to bang her. They fall in love.
They fall in love.
Not the other way around.
They fall asleep under their little glowy tree. He comes back to the real world, and he has some severe...
you skipped over. So they wake up from their sex sesh. Oh, wait, no. He doesn't wake up. She wakes up.
Yes. So when he actually wakes up, he goes to the real world, and he has some severe
Dude, I just hit some weird Na'Vi.
Nope.
Strange.
Nope. He has post-nut clarity really bad where he's like, what the fuck did I just do? He's like, oh no. He really is like, even on the fucking video call, he's like, I don't know what I just did. And then it cuts to her waking up and there's fucking big tractors ripping through the fucking jungle.
Had she already explained to you that like bonded them permanently?
Nope. Like, not yet.
We're soul bonded now.
They had not yet. So the men of Earth, they decided to start assaulting the place. So they're running bulldozers through the place. She's yelling, screaming, Jake, wake up! Even though he's like,
Jake Sully.
And she fucked him so hard, he's dead. So Sigourney
always happens to me.
Sigourney Weaver is like, hey, don't go back in your avatar pod. You gotta eat some bacon. Come on, I'm your mom. I have some food. And he's like, you got me. I did have a big night last night, guys. Norm, I know you never hit anything in your life, you fucking virgin. Guess what? I ain't got no legs.
You know him, hit that playback. You want to see some wild shit?
And so he's eating and she's screaming, pulling him over logs. And she's like, oh my God, my entire world is being destroyed. Please, God, wake up. So he finally wakes up and he's like, oh, what the fuck? I got to stop this shit. What are you doing?
Immediately springs into action, busts up their camera.
Busted up. And this is one of those things like, Jake really is just so stupid because like.
Did you think that he wouldn't see that?
Like, you're destroying the cameras. You could have put a leaf over your head, at least.
Yeah, maybe you forgot your avatar literally has your face.
Like, it's pretty easy to tell you have eyebrows. And that's another thing too, is like they zoom in on the picture, is like enhance. It's like you can tell right before you even enhance it, you stupid fucking asshole. It's got eyebrows. Stephen Lane delivers the best line of the entire movie. He's like, you got me a little emotional. I give you a big wet kiss. That is a quote that should be used more. I want to hear that more in movies. Thanos should have said that.
I think I'll think for that.
It literally, it's the most deadpan shot ever. And he's like, I think I might just give you a big wet kiss. Great line. Emmy Award winner.
Was that in your notes? Did you note that?
It literally, in my notes, it says, might just give you a big wet kiss. So then they attack the tree. That's when Michelle Rodriguez is like, I didn't sign up for this shit. She leaves.
But you did.
But then also no one cares that she leaves.
Yeah, and it's weird because shortly after this is when Jake and Sigourney and everyone get like arrested and put in jail, but not Michelle, who breaks them out.
Yeah, she doesn't.
And you would think military-wise, at the very least, like you should be,
and keep some eyes on her.
Yeah,
she was the one that transported.
Not for you to walk around.
She took them to those Hallelujah Mountains. So yeah, as they begin their assault and stuff,
it's almost like these bad guys are poorly written.
Jake comes in. He's like, guys, I got something to say. I fucked Neytiri.
We know we saw her glowing.
And then what's his face starts crying because he got cucked. He's literally his wife, his fiance. So it's like, that's pretty fucked up. Thanks for that. And Sigourney Weaver's like, oh fuck. The dad's like, is this true? And he's like, yeah. Also,
yeah.
Also, I got some bad news for you guys. Listen, and he gets shut down.
Military's coming. By the way, I also knew this the whole time.
No, he doesn't get to say that yet. They shut him down instead. Then that's when he begs for, he's like, I'll give you an hour. So he comes back and he's like, hey guys, listen, I knew this was going to happen.
They did this so I could negotiate this and you believe me, you trust me.
The entire time I was just trying to become one of you guys, and now I did.
You'll never be one of us.
And never.
Except we're soul bonded, but...
And Neytiri's like, I literally cannot believe I bonded myself to you. I'm stuck with this asshole. Are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. They get arrested. They string him up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they going to kill him? Like, why did they carry them out of the tree to string them up?
No, so why are you stringing up Sigourney Weaver? Like, she didn't play any role.
And they said, if Jake's a bad guy, every other human's a bad guy. Jake is literally the most perfect person we've ever met.
Dude, fair enough.
So they're literally hanging up on this fucking thing like King Kong's getting ready to come get them. And then they see all the ships roll in, and they're like, guys. And they're like, they're not going to do anything. We're going to go get on our
I like
dragons.
that the military also like starts with gas, and then
they start gassing the tree.
Within 30 seconds, like, fuck it, just blow it up.
Yeah, they were like, no, whatever. And
he's like, I told you I want to be back by dinner.
And also to go in with the thing is like, how the fuck do they not keep track of Jake when he was lost? They literally zoom in on all these tiny people and are like, hey, look, they're prisoners. Guess negotiations didn't go so well. They blow up the tree, and the actual scale and the falling of the tree is really, really well done. You can tell this is a part where they spent a lot of money.
Yeah, and the Na'vi are really smart. They definitely did attend the Prometheus pool of running away from.
Don't fucking add the fucking beep sound in here. Off. I don't want to hear that ding.
Maybe they just wanted to become one with the tree.
I mean, with that scale of a tree, why even run?
Fair enough. It's not as bad as
No. The way that it falls, the sound that it makes is actually pretty scary.
It is also, for me, is the best part of the movie.
It is. The music here is like also the best. You hear like, ah!
But it's also kind of funny where the whole time James Cameron's really been preaching peace and like we're all connected. Yep. But then it's also like,
let's blow it
just
up.
J-O-ing over like, look at those military. Yeah, this is great. Yeah.
And I mean, honestly.
Granted, though, he did that in Terminator 2 as well. Terminator 2 is also all about like, humans shouldn't kill each other and guns are violent.
Yeah, right.
And then like, but look at all these cool fucking guns.
This robot's going to step on a skull. It's going to be badass. Really, though, this scene, the actors, the music, they give it their all. It's very intense. The actors that are doing the voice acting are literally like wailing and weeping over all this. And it's like, this is pretty good.
Shaman Mommy.
Yeah, she's like fucking going nuts.
Which I believe is CCH Pounder, is the actress.
Yes.
That's the scream. Scream.
It's a really good scream.
And like almost weep she gives is like, that's almost all you need. Like
it felt genuine, like really real. And it's like, damn, that was good. Neytiri's dad gets fucking got. He gets stabbed through a bunch of times with wood. Sucks. Sorry, Neytiri. He's like, He gives her the
They
bow.
would repeat that death eventually in the X-Men with Mystique.
He gives her his bow, and he's like, now you got to lead him. And she's like, ah!
Only for 20 or so minutes, and then Jake can lead.
Yeah, he's like, listen, you're my daughter, but Jake's really cool.
He's so white.
They're running around. He's like, oh my God, the mom let us off here. She's like, if you care about us, then help us. It's like,
I tried, bitch.
yeah. I should be like, see ya. I'm going to go get my legs back. And so they run away. Sigourney goes one way, he goes another. They force eject them out of the pods, and so he passes out in the middle of a field. She passes out with the other Na'vi, so her body's getting carried away, which is like also be like, fuck it, I'll leave it.
Yeah, I mean,
you already strung them up. Why help them now?
It's kind of just like, well, the plot will need them to be with them later.
So Michelle Rodriguez delivers a very Michelle Rodriguez line where she's like, hey, these guys are getting steak. And then she pulls out a gun and she's like, you know what that is.
Bust them out.
Should have blasted his brains out.
Leads us to the hijacking scene.
The hijacking, which is really slow because you have a guy in a wheelchair. That's why they get caught.
And also kind of only happens so that Sigourney can get shot.
Yep. So Stephen Lang, despite explaining that the gas will kill you in a few minutes, busts the door open with his fucking foot. He's like, everybody get your mask on. Starts fucking opening fire on this thing.
That just show how badass
he's a fucking badass. He pulls out his pistol, starts shooting that one too. He ends up hitting Sigourney in the side, and then a guy brings him his mask, and he's like, and it's like, oh man, you're so fucking cool. You might give him a big wet kiss. And so they get away, and Sigourney's like,
sloppy smooth.
I'm pretty sure Sigourney Weaver delivers a line that's like, this sucks.
He does.
And it's like,
and I'm almost like, I'm not sure, but if she doesn't light up a cigarette, that was a real messed up. I kind of wanted her to light one up in front of the Na'vi just to see like their reaction.
It'd be really funny. She gets the Na'vi addicted to cigarettes.
Like, we don't see them smoke anything. Like,
right.
Do anything fun.
She's like fucking like dying, passing out. I mean, it's like, was it really that bad? Like,
we got to set up the tree transfer ritual.
Right.
That's all. Like, this is straight. I need this for the plot.
So Jake is like, don't worry, we'll get you there. I'm gonna get you some help. And she's like, Jake, I'm a scientist. I don't believe in God. And he's like, I'm talking about the Na'vi. He's like, even like, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the Na'vi. They'll help you.
Which is important because when she does die
she's
at the
like,
tree, she says, I see it. It's real.
And instead of screaming in
weird.
horror,
she doesn't say she sees. I don't see the human Christian God. I see the Na'vi tree Enya God.
So it's like, what the fuck does that
So
mean?
you're saying that, like, was our God just made up?
Wait, did we kill our God? Is Mother Earth a god?
Oh.
The
These themes in this movie are deep.
The humans, they killed their mother.
All right, Jane, you know what? You flipped me. You turned me around. This is a really good movie.
So she starts to get sucked in the tree. Doesn't work. Got to set up for the sequel. So then he's like, I know what I have to do.
I want him to straight up rip off Pocahontas and just have Sigourney Weaver's face.
In the tree?
It's not, it won't be the doctor, but it'll be that, I can't remember the actual name, but Enya, that's what I'm going to call it. Enya is now like, I've taken on her features and I will speak as her.
Sail away, sail away. That's what the movie.
Yes,
it's water. So speaking of the colors of the wind, Jake is like, I gotta go win these people back. He goes and tames the big bird, and he's like, I'm gonna travel across all
real quick, like, to be honest,
really fast. He's like, the one thing that I was counting on is if they're the biggest badass in the sky, they have no reason to look up. That's his entire plan and his logic, and it works.
Jake is not a smart.
No,
probably why he got his legs broken.
Yeah, he's got just a really, really high score in charisma.
Okay,
this is D&D now. So yeah, he gets it. He comes back, and Neytiri's like, "I love you again," and he's like,
"Yeah, I know."
He literally like looks at her. The bird in the background roars, and he's like, "Yeah, I know."
Compensating for something much,
brother, cuckold. With your permission, I respect you now. Respectfully, I respect you. Let's. How about we team up? How about we go fight my people that I'm abandoning forever?
Will you lead us, please?
Come on. can you at least let me, like, I want to help you lead. Can you make me a co-manager? And he's like, absolutely.
Cuck doesn't even really get a hero save moment. I mean,
he doesn't really.
He tries and he gets got
by just a rando.
Yeah, not even by a character we've seen. Just like, not even the Meals on Wheels guy is the one who takes him out.
Literally. So yeah, Jake runs across the entire world really fast. Apparently, I guess it's really, really quick. And damn it, they saw that big bird and they're like, shit, that guy's riding that thing. We got to answer the war call.
Just like an immediate respect card.
Instantly. So one of the ones that he said here was the horse clans of the plain.
I think they say how many other clans are. It's like 13 or something.
4 at the beginning, and by the end, he says he's got 15. And the other one, it was the Akron Eastern Sea clan, which we might be seeing these guys in the next one. Maybe that's what they are.
And their leader, Namor.
Yeah, Namor. Then the battle starts, and they're like, they're gonna hit home tree with the mother of all bombs.
Even that, I mean, that is what the Na'vi would name it too, but it's just like, come on, James.
Yeah.
It's silver and unobtainium, and you're just like, home tree.
Tree home. He's like, all right, guys, I'm Papa Dragon. Let's get the fuck out of here. I got a big ass bomb in the back of this plane. Let's fly as slow as we can go over there. Gotta be careful. You don't want to set that off.
I'm waiting because you're getting to my favorite bad visual effect that I had an issue with from the get-go.
Okay. So the fight starts out. You have the ground assault and stuff. Norm is riding a bull and shooting a gun.
Something we've definitely thought that he could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Neytiri is flying around shooting arrows.
Also, I'm just going to go ahead and point out, Norm survived all this.
Does his avatar survive? Is his avatar?
I think so, because I think his avatar is walking around at the ending scene as the humans are leaving.
It does get shot, and he rips out of the fucking avatar thing. He's like,
I mean, presumably, like, you could just jack back in because, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Science, who knows?
So he does. Neytiri's her bird gets shot out of the sky, and she's like,
Ikron.
And she's fucking horrified, and she's lost everything.
And she's about to
just
go full Rambo.
It's completely Jake's fault. She's lost everything. Her mom's gonna die in the next movie.
Maybe she realized this would happen anyway, even if Jake wasn't.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
And at least she got some of that human.
They're fighting. They're doing pretty good at the start. You see Cuck Boy. He's flying around shooting arrows. He just jumps off his bird right into the back of the plane.
Like he's a fucking Marvel superhero.
Yeah, he shoots like one guy, hits another guy with his bow, kicks another guy, and the other guy's just like, and he's done. And then his friend jumps in and just gets shot immediately and falls off.
Also, I have an issue with the opening barrage of the battle.
Yeah,
where they're just riding in and humans are just like unloading big machine guns. They do hit Na'vi eventually, but for like 5 or 10 seconds, it's just tracer rounds going everywhere but
everywhere.
The Na'vi is like.
Also,
do you guys have Star Wars laser pistols or what?
The recoil of the guns with the mech suits is like, that sucks. Why would you make it to where the suits have recoil? Why not just make it to where like that doesn't happen?
And again, I would say reference Matrix Revolutions for better mech suits.
But no, it looks cool. Damn it. So yeah, they start losing. Jake throws a bomb in the back of one plane and he's like, hey, that worked. Let's do it again. And obviously it's not going to work again.
And that's the one that had the nuke on it. So stop the nuke.
So he's about to stop it. The colonel himself, he's like, hey, I'm going to pull a steering wheel that I guess turns the entire fucking thing, despite it not going that fast.
Did you not look up the schematics of how they're...
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. So he falls off the side, but he grabs a missile that's hanging off the side, climbs up, pulls the missile off, and he's going to throw it in. He starts shooting at him out of the fucking top of the portal. Hits the side, and then it has the best death scene in the entire movie where one of the soldiers gets crushed in between both the bombs because it slides backwards.
Yeah.
So he's like, and gets fucking bombed. That's where they should have put in their their Wilhelm scream.
I was literally about to say, I don't think there's a Wilhelm scream in this movie.
There's not. And you know what? I'll respect James Cameron for that one. Stop putting that shit in movie.
We're going to wait and see if it's in the sequel.
I'm going to get pissed off.
Maybe they'll at least do a Na'Vi version of the Wilhelm scream.
That would be really funny.
Maybe make us a new scream, so we'll stop saying Wilhelm. It's like, oh, it's a Na'Vi scream.
That's a Na'Vi scream. That's a Banshee scream. That was absolutely the best kill of the entire movie. Was it just that one dude getting crushed in between the bombs?
Really, you like that more than Papa Dragon getting his comeuppance?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Speaking of, we find out his real name is Quarch at the end.
Yeah, Quarch.
Is that said anywhere else in the movie except for the end?
I think it's mentioned early in the beginning.
I do not remember that at all. And when I heard it, I was like, who the fuck are you talking about?
I think you may even see it on one of his uniforms too.
So there you go. His name's Quartz.
But this does lead to my least favorite visual effect.
Go ahead.
Again, you get really close-up action of the mech suit, which I've already mentioned, like the knee bolts and stuff where it's like it's overly shiny and it doesn't look like real. It looks like a cartoon.
And you know what? It really focuses in on it too, because his plane's blowing up. He runs, gets in the mech suit, falls down, and as it lands, it's like the whole like zoomed in shot of him like bracing and hitting the ground.
This is an example, and honestly, something that I would have expected from James Cameron, especially 13 years ago, is you should have used miniatures.
You know,
there should have been some miniature work for some of this.
I don't know if it would have looked bad at all, really.
It may have been, it possibly could have just been jarring of like, it won't match the other visual effects. I don't know.
Which, the miniatures in the background of aliens does look jarring sometimes.
Your Infinity War hate for small Bruce Banner head and Hulk Smasher suit.
Right.
Seeing Papa Dragon in his mech suit after the cockpit thing is ripped off is just as bad.
It's just as bad.
It's also an older movie. But here's the effect that I hate. It's not just the effect. It's the fact that it even has it. The giant fucking knife that just literally looks like the artist like, I'm going to just upscale a normal knife.
It's a big knife.
Why does your mech suit just have a giant hunting knife? Why wouldn't you, like, if you're going to have a blade, like just build it into the arm or anything else instead of just like holding an actual knife?
BJB, don't you like Transformers?
I do.
Isn't that a cool toy though?
And this isn't even me being flippant. Actually, no. Like the mech suit's not a cool design.
Yeah, it's not.
Like anything from Pacific Rim.
It's pretty boring.
And even the power loader is a cooler design.
I think they're too skinny, I think is my problem. It's just like there's nothing going on. Like it's just robot arms, robot legs, and a pod.
There's a brief cartoon from the mid-90s called Exo Squad that also had mech suit kind of things. That's what they should have copied and looked after. And actually, you know what? Check it out. That was actually, you should all check it out. It's a pretty smart cartoon for what it was, and actually literally deals with the stuff this is about, like
cool
humans in an alien race having a war, and actually kind of like humans are. I guess that's some new shit.
All right. With all that going on, nature itself comes to the defense of Pandora.
She heard you, Chick Sully. I will say, I mean, I'm mocking it in my performance, but Zoe Saldana's performance of that line in that moment is actually pretty good.
It's not that bad.
And again, Jake is the least interesting part of this movie, and I would have rather had a movie that she was our main character.
Yeah, same, absolutely, 100% with you. So you see the bulls running in. The Thanator comes to her,
and is she the first to ever ride a Thanator?
I don't know, maybe, probably.
No, figured you would have known the history of the Na'Vi.
No, I didn't go that far into it.
And she fights on the Thanator. She saves Jake briefly.
She's kicking his ass
until he brings out that big old knife and he's like, stab.
Yeah, he stabs it a few hundred times.
And then he goes and he can't quite get to Jake, so he's just like, fuck it. He just smashes the windows like, here, just suffocate.
You know what? Yeah. Like, why not? Just go fucking squish his little fucking head. Like, why wouldn't you just instead just like, why don't you
throw your knife?
Just start running towards it. Like, you know he's there. Why not?
And Jake can't get to his mask, and so he does choke. But then Natari gets in there to him.
Okay, you know what? This is another thing I wrote. Natiri stabs Papa Dragon with a big knife that he pulls out of himself to stab Jake before Natiri shoots him with an arrow.
Two arrows?
And the way when he pulls it out is like, that knife is so big that he should be fucking dead. Like, what?
Either from blood loss or simply like a major organ definitely got hit.
Yeah, like his lungs, his spinal cord, anything. And so yeah.
No, Nemo. We saw he's a badass.
Oh, you know what? He was lifting those weights earlier. That's why.
Yep.
All muscle tissue. That's why
that knife didn't even really go into him. His muscles just clenched it right there. He's like, no, stop right there.
Yeah, he was holding on to it for later.
I have to admit, the first time I saw this, I remember my feeling when he got the 2 arrows. It's kind of cool, but it's also the size discrepancy of their arrows to human.
Dude, they're massive.
It's almost comical how it's shot.
He's like,
but I actually felt bad of like, oh no, killed the character who was interesting.
Yeah, one who was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll find a way to bring him back. Maybe there's an evil version of the world
world tree. And like, yeah, I would like to see a Stephen Lang Na'Vi. Like,
it's like a negative Na'vi. We'll find out what that is.
But that's not the last death.
No, it is not.
Jake gets to kill the cuck, and that's where he's given control of the entire tribe.
He's given control. He puts him to rest. But
is there not another Na'vi who's just like, excuse me, hold on a second.
Wait a second. Just wait.
This outsider, who by the way also brought these people, and it's only been here for 3 months. I've lived here my whole life.
He's got eyebrows. I'm his nephew. I'm the king's nephew.
And have you seen his toes?
He just starts a whole campaign. That's what the new movie is going to be. They don't look right. You know, they're breathing in this gas. Jake is ripping out of the fucking container because
in your research,
got fucked up.
Being a planet that's just all jungle, full of trees.
Right.
I get it. They're alien trees, so maybe this is it too. Because like, tell me there's no oxygen on this planet. Like that, it is like, why is it poisonous? It's all just plant life.
Maybe it's a different version of oxygen because, like, I mean,
it doesn't kill humans instantly. That's true.
With our actual planet back in the dinosaur times, the oxygen levels were too high.
So if the Na'vi came to Earth, would it be toxic for them here?
They probably wouldn't be able to breathe. They'd probably suffocate them.
Oh, because we also breathe. That's
true. Like the oxygen levels will be so low. Yeah. But yeah, the oxygen levels will be so low, they probably wouldn't be able to breathe at all. Where it's like the humans can breathe there, but it's too much. Which is like, that's why spiders and shit used to be really huge back in the prehistoric times. Does he have brain damage now? He lost a lot of oxygen. And he passed out on the floor for a while.
Well, some would say he had brain damage before. If I understand Sam Worthington's performance,
he definitely has something. Neytiri is like,
that's his actor secret. It's secretly Jacob's brain damage. That's what I'm playing.
I'm really into this role. Brain damage. Neytiri is like, hey Jake, why don't you wake up? And she's like, oh yeah, I forgot. It's like a thing.
I kind of like the moment where she is like putting the mask on actual Jake and holding his human body, and it's like,
yeah,
it's the first time she's seeing what he actually looks like.
I wrote down, wouldn't it be fucked up? And she's like, ugh, and left him. And she's like, oh, it's ugly. What the fuck is that? What's his weird legs? What's up with that? Kicks him.
Weird little baby legs. Where's your hair, dick?
Like, what the fuck is this? It is funny though. She puts the mask on, but she doesn't like activate it. So she's like, breathe. And luckily he's like, and he like clicks the button. And then they say, I see you again.
That's what he tells the cuck before he kills him too.
Yep. So
I see you and your life that I'm stealing.
I'm you. And
that's literally what he's done. You realize that?
He really takes his entire life.
I took your tribe, I took your girl, and now I'm taking your life.
He's like, I also destroyed your home. You on that one.
But I'm A-okay.
They go back, they're like, I got my body now. I guess they repaired it somehow, so they were able to go back and capture. I don't know. Did they all just like? Did Neytiri carry his weird little body back to the place? I guess they take over the base. I guess they didn't really put up much resistance.
It's kind of weird. As soon as like Papa Dragon's out, they're just like, well, I guess we won.
Maybe they cut his head off and they're like holding it like on a spike or something.
That would have been cool with that.
Yeah, and so they go there and they're letting them all go, and it's such a weird comical shot. But the main bad guy, he's really like he's like kicking his shoes when he's leaving. He's like, guys, I'm sorry.
Shucks.
Yeah, literally shucks.
Might as well play Charlie Brown music.
Literally, he's like, okay.
And also, I know that it's the wrap of the movie. It's an emotional moment. I know the message the movie's been teaching us the whole time. And this is just a cynical American view, but it's like they're gonna come back.
They're gonna come
back with bigger guns.
In the sequel.
This is, and Jake should know. Like, this is what we do about it.
It's like,
and you know what? And
you were in the military. You know that.
I will ding the sequel, one, if that's not what happens. And two, if Jake doesn't go, if Jake hadn't already acknowledged, like, this is what, like, they're going to come back.
They're going to come back.
They're not just going to, well, shucks, I guess we lost. Let's leave. Let's go back to our toxic bowl of a planet.
So, yeah, they leave. Jake's like, this is my last time getting into the Avatar pod. It's my birthday. This is Jake Sully signing off. And then it cuts to him laying on the ground. You zoom in and
I think it's all supposed to be dramatic. Like we don't know if this is going to work.
Right. So it's playing the music like do 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 do, and the mom is going crazy. They're all dancing and celebrating, and he opens his eyes, and it ends the movie.
Kind of ends a lot like "Don't worry, darling."
It kind of does. Except you get to see his eyes open in this one.
That does wrap it up. There's no post-credit scene. Nick Fury doesn't come to recruit the Na'vi.
But it does do something weird at the end that I actually completely forgot. I think perhaps it is cut out of the extended version. I forgot there's just a straight-up pop song as soon as the credits start rolling. Leona Lewis, ICU is the name of the song. I forgot that happened.
I imagine that's entirely based on the success of the Celine Dion song. And I wonder if that was even James Cameron's intent, or if the studio was like, you're going to do this.
That was pretty jarring.
Because, I mean, that song was huge.
Yeah.
Celine Dion, not ICU.
Yeah. I didn't even know it.
Nobody gave it.
I didn't know it existed until I rewatched this version. That was weird.
And this is a question I posed to you off the air. Now I'm going to do it on the air. I think even when people talk about this movie, nobody talked about the story.
No.
The plot. It was Pandora or the visuals. And by the visuals, I even mean the 3D. Is that what actually propelled this movie
I think
to be the success that it was, to be the #1 movie of all time?
Well, there was like, when the movie came out and stuff, there's people leaving the theater just like, God, that was so incredible. 3D movies are so cool. I wish I could be in Pandora instead. The real life sucks now.
Which I think is also the message. I fucking think it's the message of the movie of like, doesn't life suck? Leave and come to Pandora.
Yeah.
That's what Jake did. Literally our hero was just like, fuck it.
James Cameron says, paint your body blue, get in your bathtub, and put a toaster in very slowly, and you'll transport to Pandora.
Now, there's also, I knew a lot of people who did see this more than once. Like even in its initial run, and it got a second run. And of course, now it's re-released 13 years later, which got it back up over Endgame.
So funny.
I'm sure in 7 years' time, Disney will release Endgame again. It's like, okay, let's get that back on top.
Kevin Feige is already like foaming at the mouth. He's like, are you kidding me?
And we're not going to talk about the sequel here. We'll have another episode for that.
Right.
But I feel like too, and I even watched some videos before we recorded tonight.
Okay.
Recent videos, like essays and stuff on this.
Right.
I watched them in full because I didn't want to like take their comments, but one of them was very specific of like how much they loved this movie, seeing it in theaters more than once.
Yep.
They bought it when it came out. And as they watched it at home, had a realization of like, is this the same movie that I watched? That I loved in the theater? And his point was the things that start sticking out of the bad dialogue.
That's
weird acting, and
and
even the visuals. Some of them being like, "That's not necessarily as good as I thought that." Which isn't just an Avatar issue. There's been some movies I've seen where in the theater I was like, "That looks great," and then I watch it at home like, "Ooh, this looks real bad."
Yes, it does. So for myself, it was definitely one of those things. It was like, man, I was still a kid. And it was almost depressing to see how not good the movie really was, despite all the stuff that I've said.
To defend the childhood aspect of it, though,
it is a little kid's playground.
The people that I was talking to at the time, some of them were older than me, so this was full-grown adults who were loving it. So it's not just that you were a kid.
I also do think.
I mean, that definitely colors the perspective of it.
I think it is also like partially just like nothing like that had ever been done before. But now
was it? I mean, I would say it was almost like the Star Wars effect. The first Star Wars,
absolutely,
at that time too, was you've never seen something like this.
Exactly.
And then when you look at Star Wars as a story, it's like the story's not that much.
It's
also
not at all.
It is the standard hero's journey story. It's not even a unique story, and that's also can rip off of Akira Kurosawa's Fortress.
Right.
So this actually is kind of like this was the new Star Wars. But what made Star Wars last and be the phenomenon that it was, where it's, it became this big sprawling thing. Where James Cameron already created a whole universe and like nothing else ever came from it. We didn't get novels of an expanded universe telling us of other stories.
Yeah, like the book that did come out was just kind of like those 90s books where it's just like, hey, this is Star Wars Episode 2. You can look at all these pictures. This is the stuff that's in the background, like that kind of stuff. Like basically like a visual encyclopedia. You don't get like a bunch of like novels like this is the story of Garak Motal or something, and let's follow like what this history was.
So what do you
don't get anything like that?
I mean, again, I know you saw it as a child, but even now, like, what do you think really was the propellant factor of making this? Was it simply just like, we've never seen this before? Come see this.
I definitely think the 3D aspect was one of those. I want to say, honestly, the bioluminescence was a pretty big selling factor.
Now,
in 2009 was the rave scene. Glowing lights were huge. So you get some glowing lights. I mean, you can look at video games at the time. That shit's in those too. Like anything with glowing lights already, it's just like, hey, that's cool. The cool factor, the weird factor, because it's like blue alien people, and also the name Avatar was already pretty trendy at the time.
I was going to kind of bring that up, but I don't really want to discuss it. I don't remember all the legal aspects of it. I actually know that the live-action Shyamalan Avatar movie got to not use the title Avatar and had to just be The Last Airbender.
The Last Airbender because of it.
But I'm also curious, like, did Fox have to, because Avatar: The Last Airbender already existed, the anime did.
Like, well, because it was registered as Avatar: The Last Airbender. It wasn't just Avatar.
And actually, wouldn't Pandora be a better title for this movie?
I think so, but if you search Pandora, you just get music.
I guess, the Pandora project already existed.
It was the biggest thing at the time. It's the biggest music thing there was.
So, to lead into the sequel, another point too is this movie didn't necessarily scream out that it needed one. Like the way it ends, it does just seem like
it's open-ended to enough to the point that you're like, I'm okay with it being over, but if there was some more, I wouldn't be mad.
This journey is done, and like, yes, you did present me a world, and as we've discussed today, we have questions too. Like, and your thing, what you liked of the extended cut is you saw more of Earth because you're like, I want to know what.
I actually got really obsessed with that part because I was like, I really like that. I want to see more of
James Cameron hates. That's probably why he likes the theatrical. It's like, okay, don't worry about Earth.
That is
come to Pandora.
It was because of Avatar that I finally watched Blade Runner. So
which cut of Blade Runner now?
I've watched all of them now. Okay. I don't remember what the first one was though. I really don't feel like the actual story of the movie really did leave a lasting impact like I thought it kind of did. And I can really see how other people are just like, I really don't remember anything of the movie because it's pretty widely forgettable except for like the animal visuals and just the world itself. But then you go into other things that have come out since then and you're like, oh, this is more interesting instead.
And that's something you and I have talked about too, like when we saw the Ant-Man Quantum Mania trailer.
Right.
And there's some shots in there where it's like, I know this is supposed to be a spectacle shot. I'm supposed to be like, oh, wow. But it's also, I'm already like, I've seen this fucking stuff a bunch now. Like, this isn't impressive to me.
Just to kind of start wrapping things up, before they announced Avatar 2 was actually happening, because that was a big thing. It's like a rumor pretty much every single year. It's like, hey, there's an Avatar 2 and a 3 and a 4 being made, if you didn't know that, by the way. And it's just like, well, where is it? Like, it felt like it was doing that every single year.
And a 5.
But the thing...
2, 3, 4, and 5.
The thing that, like, kind of brought Avatar back to my memory and stuff was Future Man on Hulu. If you've never seen that,
I've seen a couple the first few episodes. I liked it.
Really good show. I think it's towards the end of that first season. The person who discovered time travel was James Cameron. He was in his submarine and found a new element that creates like shit. And
was it not unobtainium?
I can't remember. It might have been. It's something. But it was like a plankton or some shit. So they teleport into his house to break in and steal more so they could travel more. His entire house is ran by a computer named Sigourney. The secondary male character falls in love with the computer and they're speaking Na'vi to each other, and it ends off with them saying, I see you to each other. And you know what? It's pretty good. And that's what made me even remember a lot of Avatar is because it is the whole James Cameron joke.
Well, it does at least show too. Someone on that show clearly like remembered Avatar.
Yep. And it was accurate as far as I could tell.
Like, it is interesting to me of other some podcasts I've listened to, some of the little bit of research I did before today.
Right.
That a lot of the conversation is about how no one talks about Avatar.
It's just all around, just no one talks about it.
To where it was this huge cultural phenomenon, but also the least culturally impactful film to ever be made.
But also it still did things, which is also like kind of wild to me.
But think about this. People still talk about the Star Wars prequels. To this day, I mean,
that's a really good point. For all their faults and stuff, it still gets talked about.
It's almost, and I'm not saying this, but what we've said before on the show is, I'd rather you be a bad movie than a boring movie. Avatar's not boring.
No, I can say that it's really not boring, but it's also a really good movie that you could fall asleep watching. That doesn't really mean that it's boring, but it's just like you could totally just turn this on and just like enjoy it in the background.
I would almost challenge somebody, and I will watch it if you do this. Re-edit the movie and get it down to 2 hours, 20 minutes or less. Basically, can you knock out 25 to 30 minutes of this movie? But to everyone listening, you've made it this far.
Crazy.
Great job. This, I really, more than any episode we've done, I beg of you, comment. What have you seen Avatar? How many times did you see it?
Tell me how wrong I am about the goat eyes.
I would love it if all our comments were like, actually, let me explain how it works. But like, are you excited for Way of Water? Do you think it can live up to this first one? But also, does it actually have a lot to live up to other than box office? Which that's not interesting too. It's like, it's all like no one's even talking about will it be better. Yeah. It's almost an expectation of like, well, of course it will, because actually the first one's not that
it's
great.
Like it's gonna make money. It's gonna make money. Well, they're getting our $20, so.
And I mean, I want to say, I think other than Spider-Man No Way Home, we have not had because even Black Panther, I haven't looked at what its current numbers are. Like, it's doing good numbers, but like No Way Home blew it up.
Yeah. I think Black Panther did pretty good for its opening weekend, but I don't think it's consistent though.
I mean, obviously, if this Thanksgiving weekend was the lowest in history, it was still number one, but it's like, it didn't make a ton of money.
Right.
Or, Spider-Man had that word of mouth too. There's like, you got to go see this.
I mean, I've told someone that I knew that I was like, hey, that was like one of the best theater experiences I've ever had.
So I am excited to see Way of Water.
Right.
And I will, even more so than this rewatch of this, like I am open-minded entirely to it. If I want it to be better I want to be dazzled. And because I like James Cameron. He made the best action movie ever made in Terminator 2.
I want to, and the best sequel ever made.
Right. He also proved like, so this is exactly how you...
And also, you're good at sequels. Come on.
And here's this is interesting. Aliens and Terminator 2, they are direct sequels, but they're also sequels that work. If you haven't seen the first one,
yes,
this still works as its own thing, which is honestly the perfect formula of a sequel, right?
That's why Shrek 2 is also really good.
And this has that ability too, because technically you could argue the first one, he's a Na'vi. You don't need to know that he used to be a human.
It's the same thing
They'll
with
mention it.
Terminator 1. You don't really need to know anything that happened in
there'll be
movie.
some dialogue that kind of explains like, here's what happens. Like, that's the movie.
That's all you need to know.
So like this could be that. But again, it still comes back to like, but the story's got to be. Because again, I don't think there's a visual effect or anything he can do now that's going to be like, oh my God. We're not going to have a T-1000 walking through the bars where everybody lost their shit.
Right.
How did you do that? As we wrap up, what do you think? Do you think that Avatar 2 can top Avatar 1?
I think it can. It just has a lot of work to do. As far as world building, a lot of it's been done, but you still need to have that sense of wonder. I think that's the biggest thing to take away from the Avatar movie at all, is capturing that sense of wonder.
Taking us on a trip.
Yeah.
Getting us off of our toxic planet.
Yeah.
2 hours and 45 minutes.
And also, it's just like, maybe make Zoe Saldana the main focus. She's the more interesting one anyway.
I almost like, it would have been okay if he just like killed Jake Sully up in between. Just like, yeah, he died.
I'm completely okay with that.
Because I kind of want to like James, do you kind of regret casting Sam Worthington? Because at the time he still was not a thing, but like people were trying to make him a thing.
Right. So and I mean, he took a chance as Zoe Saldana as well. I mean, she wasn't really anybody yet. So it's like you got a lot of kind of nobody characters, and then you have your legacy actors like Sigourney that you love.
I think it's going to be huge. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think there is any other even medium level movie that is set to come out for the rest of the year.
No.
So there's nothing in its way. Do you think? Oh no, we're gonna wrap it up.
We're done.
But yeah, again, to everyone listening, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening to this bullshit.
To this almost feature-length commentary recap of Avatar.
Yeah,
and how I still do not like it.
my love wavered.
But also let us know. Were you like Nemo? Were you a kid when you saw it?
Right.
Or were you like me, already an old curmudgeon man, just like you're looking at kids in your Pandora? You killed Steve. You killed the old man character.
Back in my day, Pandora was music. Well, speaking of the way of water, I gotta piss. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
I've been Nemo.
I've been Blackjack Bauer.
Check us out on our social medias. Comment on this version. Please send us an email at shallowcinemashow@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. Look at the YouTube version. All those links are right in the description.
And I will promise everyone out there, even people not named Kevin, if you send us a picture of yourself as a Na'vi, I will shout you out on the next episode. Until then, we'll see you in Pandora.
Oh, God,
I had a perfect closing, and now you're ruining it.
No, I'll just cut it.
No, you leave it in.